Previously on Unscripted.
And I heard about another show on Paramount Plus. I don't know anyone that has Paramount Plus.
Me too.
Grease, Rise of the Pink Ladies.
That looks like hot garbage.
You're listening to Unscripted with Skip Sherman and Josh Obadia.
Okay, Skip, so today we're going to talk about songs with rain in the title. But before we get to that, I wanted to let you know about a couple of live events that I went to recently. You might recall that I mentioned Crowded House was supposed to be in Toronto about a year ago, actually, and they had to postpone the show because the lead singer couldn't sing, which is kind of important for a singer.
I remember that, yeah.
So they finally came, and it was about a month ago, I think, maybe more now. And it was an outdoor concert. It was good. The first half was a little slow. They were playing a lot of new stuff that I don't know. But the second half, they played all the hits, which is great, including they played a song by Split Enz, which you probably know that two members of Crowded House used to be in Split Enz.
Where was the concert, actually? Like, what was the venue?
So it's called Budweiser Stage. It's an outdoor venue. I've been to see Weezer there and Green Day there. Also saw the Junos there. It's actually a good venue because it's outdoors, but there are seats. So it's not like just in a field. And most of the fans are covered. So if it rains, the show still happens, which is good too.
How much were the tickets, can I ask? Because Crowded House has been very at the forefront of like anti-Ticketmaster and trying to keep their prices down. Like, was it expensive or not? Or are they just talking, or are they actually doing something?
So the tickets actually were very reasonably priced. Two tickets were a total of $85, and that's including all taxes and service charges.
That's incredible. You can't even go get ice cream for that price anymore.
I know, yeah. So it was very reasonably priced. Now, it wasn't sold out. You know, they have that venue also has like a lawn section in the back where you can just sort of lounge on the lawn, sort of like general admission, but no one was in that section. Normally for something like The Cure played at the same venue like a month later, and The Cure, that concert was sold out. You couldn't find tickets anywhere, even on like the secondary market, which I couldn't believe, because I did once say to you that there's no such thing as a sold out concert anymore, but that Cure concert was sold out.
That's amazing. That's amazing. You know, you asked me, and then some other people asked me about going to see Tears for Fears. They played in Toronto. They played in Montreal.
Yes.
And I looked at the prices here in Montreal. Not at the Bell Center. They're playing at the Place Bell, which is, for people who know the Montreal geography, it's in Laval, a suburb, and it's a smaller arena. Beautiful venue, actually. The tickets were crazy. It was like $200 was like the cheapest ticket, even more. So I was like, I don't understand, like, how like the live music prices just went wild.
And by the way, so you did mention they're coming to Toronto, and they're playing at the same venue where I saw Crowded House.
Got it. Love it. Well, look, I'm glad you went to see some live music. Live music is awesome. We should all be trying to do that. But again, sometimes the prices are a little bit prohibitive. You got to make good decisions.
And speaking of live events, I also went to see the play or musical called Hamilton. I specify that because when I say I went to Hamilton, some people think I actually drove to the city, but no, that's not what I did.
Mm-hmm. How was Hamilton? Was it good?
So it was good. First of all, it's long. Luckily, there's an intermission in between. And what I should have done, I should have read up on it before seeing it. It would have helped me understand it a little bit better. I read up on it afterwards, which made me understand it a bit better.
It's like American history type of theme, right?
Yeah. It's about how the American Constitution was written. I mean, the singers and the dancers were very talented, so that was all good. And actually, I was impressed at how clear the audio was and everything like that. I mean, it was at a professional, actual theater, so I guess I shouldn't have been surprised about that. And actually, for those tickets, because you were asking about the price of the Crowded House tickets.
Oh, so, I'm sure it was so much. I'm sure they were expensive.
Actually, so they're normally, I think, like $85 or $89 per ticket, normally, in Toronto. However, what I did was, I read up somewhere, you can download the Hamilton app on your phone. And with this app, what you can do is you can enter a lottery. And if you win the lottery, then you can get tickets for $10, which is dirt cheap.
But you only find out like the day of, no?
You find out like a few days before.
Mm-hmm. I did the lottery for different shows when we went to New York once for Broadway shows. There's all kinds of procedures for lotteries for almost every single Broadway show.
Right. Did you win any of them?
Yeah, I think we won. No, we didn't get any that we wanted, and then we ended up buying tickets at the box office for something else, like just regular prices. Yeah.
So I didn't win the lottery, but then what I was going to do is if you buy tickets the day of the show, and there were plenty of seats available, it wasn't sold out. If you buy them the day of the show, I think they're $60 or something, which is obviously less than the $85. So I was going to just wait till the day of and buy the tickets that day. Yeah. But then what also happened, the day before, I got an email from the same organization that was running the lottery, and they said, well, you didn't win the lottery, but we have a deal for you. If you want to buy tickets, it's like $50 per ticket.
That's predetermined, all that. Yeah.
Of course it is. But I bought them the day before because they would have been $10 more the next day. Right. And I got to pick the seats that I wanted, and so it all worked out.
All right, good. Very good. Really very nice and good, as we say on the show.
So my question to you is, did we get any listener mail from our last topic?
Mailbag.
We did. So the last topic, as you remember, it seems like forever ago, because, summer's here and we're getting ready for the sunny weather, although we'll segue into why we're doing rain today. An email from good friend of the show, Jesse in Dallas, Texas. He says, another great episode between the two of you. Most of my choices were mentioned. Here are a couple that I would include. Now, I don't know most of these songs. A Summer Song by Chad and Jeremy. I mean, we have Google. We're on YouTube, so everybody could look these up. All Summer Long by the Beach Boys. I mean, we know that one. All I Have to Do Is Dream / A Summer Song by Christine Lavin. And he was generous and he included the YouTube link for that one. Stephanie from Montreal said, I had all of the songs that you mentioned and I couldn't find any others. And I did tell you there weren't that many. Like when we're going to do Rain today, there's a lot more Rain
There are
songs.
So many choices with Rain in the title.
Yeah. Jason from Montreal mentioned that Joe Jackson did some summer impromptu gigs in New York City in the early 2000s, and he opened with Summer in the City, which was a song that I had in my list, and I actually have the version of that live version, Jason, on my phone, and I'm well aware of it. It's great. And he also mentioned that Brian Setzer does a great cover of Summertime Blues. So people can also look for that. Joe from New Jersey said Summer Breeze by Seals and Crofts. You know this one?
I think I do know the song.
Easy listening favorite.
I think it's
right?
been used in many commercials too.
I think so too, yeah. Derek from Montreal agreed with Joe. It said Summer Breeze is a classic. And he said, I would also add Summer Paradise by Simple Plan and an honorable mention to anything by the late, great Donna Summer. So he didn't have a song with the word summer in the title, but a whole artist, right?
So I guess technically all her songs then were eligible.
Do they qualify? I guess. And then Brian from New York, Summertime by Billie Holiday or Janis Joplin cover, and Summertime Blues by The Who, live at Leeds. Actually, great version of Summertime Blues by The Who. That is a great shout right there.
Nice.
And then, of course, our buddy, ChatGPT, I asked it, what are some of the best songs with summer in the title? And the answer was, there are numerous songs with summer in the title that capture the essence of the season. Here are some popular examples across different genres. Summertime by DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Cruel Summer by Bananarama. In the Summertime by Mungo Jerry. That's a great one. We didn't mention that one, I don't think. Boys of Summer by Don Henley. Hot Fun in the Summertime by Sly and the Family Stone. All Summer Long by Kid Rock. California Girls, Katy Perry. Summertime Sadness by Lana Del Rey, which you mentioned. Summer of 69 by Bryan Adams. And Blister in the Sun by Violent Femmes. We didn't think about that one.
Oh, that's a good one. But you mentioned a song there that doesn't even have summer in the title.
You're right, California Girls. So
ChatGPT needs to work on its algorithm.
Yeah, it's a little loose with the rules, like we are sometimes. So I think it's I think it's pretty much aligned with how we roll on our show. So that's fine.
Sure.
And then it concludes by saying these are just a few examples, and there are many other songs that evoke the spirit of summer in their lyrics or title. Thank you, ChatGPT. Appreciate that.
Okay, we'll be right back after this to talk about songs with rain in the title.
You're listening to Unscripted.
Are you taking a month-long vacation in the stratosphere and you know how hard it is to hold your breath? Are you the cosmic kid in full costume dress? You've got a nice little place in the podcast universe with Set Listing Bruce. Set Listing Bruce is your podcast for all things Bruce Springsteen fandom. We discuss his music, we talk about his tour, and we also talk to fans of other musicians and share their story of their passion, their fandom, and the way that their favorite artist's music makes them feel. Set Listing Bruce, a Bruce Springsteen fan podcast, is available wherever you find podcasts. Remember, there is magic in the night.
And now, back to Unscripted.
Okay, Skip, we're back.
So last time we did songs with summer in the title. And, the opposite of summer would be, I don't know, winter?
Right, winter,
yes.
yes.
But I guess in our brains we said, no, we're going to do songs with rain in the title because it's sort of like a different feeling than the sun of the summertime, right?
So that means that our next episode, we could do songs with sun in the title because we haven't done that yet.
You're absolutely right. And there's plenty we could. So, it's interesting because I was like, we just did this great summer episode and now we're going to go with rain. And like, why are we doing that? It's a little bit odd. But you know what? It's been raining for like 2 days straight, 3 days straight. The forecast, I saw, like, if you open up your Weather Network app here in Canada, in Montreal, I don't know if it's the same in Toronto, it's basically rain every day for this week, like the entire week. So I think it's kind of apropos that we're going to, it's kind of working out that we're going to go with songs kind of about rain. There's so many more songs with rain than there were summer. So many more, right?
Yeah, agreed. There's a longer list of songs with rain in the title. I could have done a top 10, but let's leave it to 5. But speaking of rain and speaking of the weather, the rain is actually a good thing because there are, forest fires happening all over the country and everyone needs rain right now. So hopefully those who really need the rain the most are getting it.
That's well said. Well said, Josh. There's so many more songs with rain because, rain has this kind of, symbolic feeling, in songs. It's like rebirth or, it could just be unhappiness. You're sad. It could be sadness. But often it's kind of like a rebirth or a renewal, and, I was researching, the history of rain in, songs and literature and poetry and stuff. It goes all the way back to the Bible, right? It's like...
This is true.
Floods, floods in the Bible is supposed to have been like a renewal, So a lot of time, it's like what happens after the rain in the songs, So it'll be interesting to sort of see what you have in your list. I just want to tell you, I was very strict on my list. Rain was in the title of every song. Mm-hmm. And when I say rain, it's like the word rain. I did not include the word rainbow. Rainbow was not counted. If I would have included rainbow, I would have had a different list because there would have been another song in there for sure. But I really was pretty strict on rain. Now you already hinted to me that you maybe have loosened the rules and maybe one of your songs doesn't actually have rain in the title, although it's prominent in the song. So I guess we'll see, right?
Well, I'll explain when we get to that one.
I can't wait to hear what it is. Obviously, I didn't think of it because everything I have is just rain, 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 rain. So do you feel good about your list? How do you feel about it? My list is strong. I got 5 really strong songs and I've got at least almost 10 honorables that either could all be in the top 5.
I feel very good about my list. As I said, I could have extended it. I only have 5. I mean, I've got a bunch of honorable mentions that, and a few of those honorable mentions could have easily cracked the top 5. In fact,
me too.
In fact, when you hear my number 5, I'm still debating whether I should bump 5 out of the list and move one of the other ones up. But I guess it's too late for me to make the change now.
How many do you think we're going to have the same? I think one.
Maybe
One max.
maybe one or none.
Yeah, I think so. Because you know what was weird about the summer songs we had, it was almost the same list in different order. You know, pretty much.
Right.
So I'm happy that we're gonna have some. You know, hopefully we'll have 10 different songs that we're gonna talk about here.
We could.
Yeah. So let's hear your number 5.
Number 5.
Okay, number 5, Mandolin Rain by Bruce Hornsby and the Range.
Listen to the mandolin rain. Listen to the music on the way. Oh, listen to my heart break every time she runs away.
It's a great pick. My wife was looking up songs with rain last night, and she's like, "This song has to be in your list, Mandolin Rain."
So it's from 1986, and it's the third track from their album The Way It Is, which was their debut album. And according to the author of the song, it's about missing someone badly. It's about trying to pull through when so many things remind you of her: a tune, a fairy whistle, mainly a summer storm. So that's what it's about. And this originally was not on my list. You know, when I made the list originally in my head, I had like already 3 songs right away. And then I had to find 2 more. And then I Googled it and this came up. I'm like, oh, I will include this.
Awesome. It's a great song and a great way to start your list. And I am a big fan of Bruce Hornsby. I'm excited also today because I'm going to talk about some artists in my list that I don't mention very often, you know? So I feel like, you know, I don't have any Bruce Springsteen in my list, you know, and so I feel like I got some artists here that we don't mention that often.
Right. There's no Tragically Hip in my list. So
no, not today. So number 5 for me is Peter Gabriel, Red Rain.
Excellent choice.
Yeah, obviously everyone knows that's from his 86 album So, which was a huge smash hit. You know, Sledgehammer and In Your Eyes and all these songs. It was like honestly it vaulted Peter Gabriel from like a star to like a superstar, you know? And Red Rain is one of the best songs on the album. I mean, like I'm going to tell you today, like I looked up what the songs are about, which is like we don't like to always do that. I never really knew what the song was about. It's a beautiful song, regardless. But a lot of people think it's about Chernobyl. Because the Chernobyl disaster happened just like the year before this was released. But Peter Gabriel says no, it's not about that. He says it's about some kind of weird dream that he had. Like, and I didn't even want to write down in my notes like what the dream is about because it's really weird. It's like super weird.
Okay.
Because Peter Gabriel's a bit of a weird guy, you know.
A little bit. Most artists are.
I think so, yeah.
Number 4.
Okay, number 4. Here Comes the Rain Again by the Eurythmics.
Here comes the rain again, falling on my head like a memory, falling on my head like a new emotion.
This is a 1984 song. David Stewart and Annie Lennox wrote the song while they were staying at the Mayflower Hotel in New York City. And it was an overcast day, and Stewart was playing some melancholy chords on his Casio keyboard. Lennox came over, looked out the window, and saw the gray skies of New York, and spontaneously sang, "Here Comes the Rain Again." So then the duo worked out the rest of the song based on that mood.
Good choice, and I'm pretty sure this would have been my wife's number 1, based on our conversation from the last couple of days.
So far, she's going to love my list so far.
She really is. She really is. Number 4 for me, it's an artist that I talk about often, and actually our friends Jesse and Sylvan have a podcast about John Hyatt where they're counting down every John Hyatt song from A to Z in order. And so the song is called Feels Like Rain. Now, they're only in their countdown. They're only like in the letter C right now. Like that's how far they've gotten.
It could take them years to finish.
It really is going to take them a long time. And when they get to letter F, I mean, if you really want, I mean, you should listen to the podcast anyways, but I can't wait for them to get to the letter F so that they can do Feels Like Rain because it's pretty much regarded as like one of his best songs.
Love comes out of nowhere, baby, just like a hurricane, and it feels like rain.
I'm sure it's going to be one of the highest rated songs of their extensive list of every single song. It's just beautiful. You know, when it came out in 88, and I don't think I discovered it. I didn't discover John Hyatt that in 88. I didn't start buying the albums till the 90s. And Buddy Guy came out with an album called Feels Like Rain, and he had a cover version of this song. And I actually thought it was Buddy Guy's song. Like, I heard that version first, believe it or not. So the John Hyatt version is absolutely beautiful, and it's a must listen for anybody.
Number 3.
Okay, so I'm at number 3. And so I did mention that one of my songs doesn't have rain in the title. So the song is called Love Reign Over Me by The Who, except rain is spelled R-E-I-G-N, which is why I said it doesn't have rain in the title. So it does actually have rain in the title, and they do say the word rain, R-A-I-N, throughout the song. So I believe this song should be allowed in my list.
Only love can make it rain, like the sweat of lovers laying in the fields. Love, rain on me.
The judges have,
Deliberated?
They've deliberated, and they agree. I agree. I know that the title is, R-E-I, right? That version of rain, like a king or a queen that reigns. But really, like the song, I mean, this should be allowed. I agree wholeheartedly. It should be allowed.
So actually, let me just tell you a little bit about the song. So it was written by Pete Townsend. So some people actually refer to the song as Pete's theme. It was from their album Quadrophenia, which is also a rock opera. And the song is about the main character of Quadrophenia, Jimmy. He's having a personal crisis. With nothing left to live for, he finds spiritual redemption in the pouring rain. So there you go.
Okay, it's a fantastic song. I'm a big fan of The Who, and that might be one of The Who's best songs, honestly.
Yeah, apparently they play it whenever they go play live. They play it live all the time, apparently.
Mm-hmm. So number 3 for me, a band that I don't think we've ever mentioned in however many years we've been doing this podcast, more than 6 years, whatever. The Grateful Dead. I'm not a fan, and I know you're not either. I'm not a Deadhead. Like I'm not a fan even of the Grateful Dead, but I'm like a casual of some songs, The reason why, so the song is called Box of Rain.
What do you want me to do for you to see you through? A box of rain will ease the pain and love and see you through.
It's the first track from the album American Beauty, which came out in 1970. Now, normally I would have no reason to even listen to the Grateful Dead. Like I had nothing to do with them. But do you remember the show Freaks and Geeks? I know you remember it.
I've never seen the show, but yes, I do remember it.
So that show, I mean, that was a really good show that got really screwed by NBC because they put it on in stupid time slots. They moved it around. They didn't give it a chance. I mean, if it's Judd Apatow, it was ahead of its time. It has all the actors that are in that show went on to have huge careers, right? And there's a very, very important part in that show when I watched it that made me go and buy the album, the CD, American Beauty, because the character discovers it as well in the show, the main character. So, and then if you go on YouTube and you search Freaks and Geeks Grateful Dead, there's tons of stuff, and you're going to see the scene where the guidance counselor's even telling her, oh, that's a great album, and then she goes home and she's walking through school with the album, and people are like, hey, you like the Dead? Oh, that's cool. Wow, that's a great album. And I'm like, I had never heard of it, just like her, right? And then she goes home and she puts it on her turntable, and the first song that comes on is Box of Rain, which is really the only Grateful Dead song I think that I really like. So
So now I want to hear the song, and I also want to watch the show Freaks and Geeks.
I don't know where you can stream it. I think it's probably on Peacock, to be honest, like, which I don't know if we get, but you can see the clips of all of it on YouTube. And actually, in the week leading up to the notes here, I read up a little bit about Freaks and Geeks and what happened with the show and why it didn't last and everything. There's a lot of controversy there with what happened. So, by the way, in 2021, Rolling Stone ranked the song as number 364 in their updated list of the 500 greatest songs of all time.
Number 2.
So, number 2 for me, and you mentioned this on our last episode, Rain in the Summertime by The Alarm.
Love to be the rain in the summertime. Oh, I love to be the rain on my face.
I really like this band and I really like this song. So I figured I didn't mention it on our last episode. I can mention it on this one. And as I'm sure you know, it's from the album Eye of the Hurricane, which was their third studio album. But the song actually was released before the album and it reached number 18 in the UK singles charts.
Yeah, the song has a weird release. It was released as a single, and then the UK, and then North America, and then the album. I remember reading about it last time. Yeah, it's a really good song. It's not even like one of my top 5 songs by The Alarm. I like many other songs by The Alarm, but obviously this one fits in the rain and the summer category. So that's kind of cool. Number 2 for me is a classic, and it's also an artist that we never talk about, and that's James Taylor, and the song is Fire and Rain.
I've seen fire and I've seen rain. I've seen sunny days that I thought would never end. I've seen lonely times when I could not find a friend. But I always thought that I'd see you again.
Now, like, everybody knows this song, right? I mean, this is a song that's been played on radio and TV and movies. Like, it's everywhere. It's like an all-time classic. You know, it's just like a beautiful song. It's probably like, I guess it's James Taylor's probably most famous song. It was released in 1970. It was covered lots of times and it's been on lots of TV and movies. My sister's going to be listening to this maybe. And there's a movie that she really liked, I think that was in the 90s, called Running on Empty. It's with River Phoenix. It's a movie that most people don't even remember. And this song, my sister loved that movie, and she watched it like 1 billion times. And this song really plays an important role in that movie. So whenever I hear Fire and Rain by James Taylor, I actually always think about this movie, which most people don't even know, you know?
Number 1.
Okay, so I'm already at number 1.
Yeah, me too. And we're not going to have any the same because I'm almost positive.
Yeah, I don't think I didn't think we're going to have any of the same today. Number 1 for me, and I knew this was going to be number 1 right away. It's Only Happy When It Rains by Garbage.
I'm only happy when it rains. I'm only happy when it's complicated. And though I know you can't appreciate it, I'm only happy when it rains.
We lived together when this album came out, and I purchased it, and I listened to it quite a lot. So it came out in 1995, and it's sort of the mid-90s alternative rock. A lot of the songs were like, angst-filled songs. And so this is sort of a parody of that.
Yeah.
So anyway, by the way, Garbage is performing live in Toronto with Noel Gallagher tomorrow. Or if you're listening to this on Tuesday, then it was yesterday.
Got it. Are you going to go? No, you're not going to go.
I'm not going. I can't go. I'm not able to go.
Got it. So number 1 for me, actually, like you said, it was obvious. Like when we said we're doing Rain, I was like, oh, well, I mean, number 1. It's like put it at number 1 and everything else is far behind, honestly. And that is the song Purple Rain by Prince. Like, this is number 1 with a bullet. There's no doubt about it for me.
I only want to see you laughing in the purple rain. Purple rain, purple rain.
It's interesting. I knew this was going to be on your list. I thought that Red Rain by Peter Gabriel was going to be number one on your list.
Now, I never liked Prince. Prince in the 80s when he was popular, I never would listen to any music. It was an artist that I never even thought of that I could like. And then after he passed away in 2016, I was like, oh, there was so much about Prince on the radio and stuff. And I went back and listened to a lot of songs. I'm like, look, I still don't like a lot of the songs. Some of the pop stuff is not great, but Purple Rain is an absolute incredible song. Honestly, have you ever seen the movie Purple Rain? Like
I don't think I have. No.
So like the actual song Purple Rain, like the album version is taken from the movie. It's an 8-minute and 45-second song. And that's when I fell in love with it, because there's about 4 minutes that's just him playing guitar at the end. Right? And he is an incredible guitar player, an absolutely amazing musician. Obviously they made like a shorter version for the radio version. I think they chopped it down to like a 4-minute-ish version, so it'd be able to be played on the radio. It's really an amazing song. Everybody knows it. It reached number 2 on Billboard's Hot 100 back in 1984, but then again it made it to number 4 on the Billboard Hot 100 in 2016 after Prince passed away. That's like how like a resurgence. And just to tell you, like, again, the Rolling Stone list of 500 greatest songs of all time, Purple Rain is number 18. The 18th greatest song in the history of rock and roll, according to Rolling Stone, which is absolutely crazy to think about, So yeah, that's my number 1 Rain song.
Imagine trying to compile that list of the greatest songs of all time. I mean,
oh, it's ridiculous.
How do you even come up with your top 10? You probably have 20 songs that you would want to put in your top 10.
Do you want to do an exercise where like you and me, we can do it separately, like our 100 greatest songs of all time?
I would need like a year to compile that list.
Like, we don't have to do an episode about it, but we can post it on our website if you want.
I'll think about it.
That's really hard. Well, usually when they do those lists, they do like a panel. They have like a panel of like 10 or 20 people, and I think they compile the information. I don't know. Who knows? So I do have a lot of honorable mentions, and some that you mentioned: Mandolin Rain, Bruce Hornsby, Here Comes the Rain Again, Eurythmics, South Central Rain by REM, Rainmaker by Bruce Springsteen, The Rain Song, Led Zeppelin, Rain in the Summertime, The Alarm, which you had. Blue Rodeo, famous Canadian band, has 2. They have Rain Down on Me and After the Rain. Led Zeppelin again, Fool in the Rain, and Sting, Shadows in the Rain. So those are some honorable mentions that I had.
So I had a bunch also. Red Rain that you mentioned and Purple Rain that you mentioned. Also, No Rain by Blind Melon.
Someone mentioned that to me yesterday. The one when I told them that we were doing this topic.
It's Raining Again by Supertramp.
Yeah.
Summer Rain, which I believe we mentioned on I mentioned on our last episode.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I Wish It Would Rain Down by Phil Collins.
Yeah.
And Rusted from the Rain by Billy Talent.
And my wife said that any list of the of this topic should include the song "It's Raining Men" by the Weather Girls.
Of course. How could we have forgotten that one? Well, I do appreciate the input from your wife and from ChatGPT, by the way.
Good. Very good.
We'll be right back with some final thoughts.
You're listening to Unscripted.
Do you know John Hyatt songs?
Maybe you know them from being covered by Roseanne Cash, Three Dog Night, the Neville Brothers, Emmylou Harris, Eric Clapton, B.B. King, Jeff Healey, Bonnie Raitt, or literally hundreds of others.
Maybe you have some of his albums on your shelf, or in your cow-horned Cadillac right now.
I'm Jesse Jackson.
And I'm Sylvan Brough.
And we're going to dive in from A to Z. Join us on the Perfectly Good podcast.
We're going to discuss all of your favorites and uncover some forgotten gems, from Aces Up Your Sleeve to Zero House.
Rate and debate every John Hyatt song on the Perfectly Good podcast. Have a little faith.
Unscripted with Skip and Josh is available wherever you listen to podcasts. If you listen to the show through Apple Podcasts, please leave a review. To interact with the show, send an email to skipandjoshshow@gmail.com. Follow the show on Twitter and go to Facebook to like the show page. And now, some final thoughts from the guys.
All right, Josh. So I got to tell you, I sort of told you this because people don't know that I actually saw you in person twice in the last few weeks. You know, you were here in Montreal, we got together, and then I actually went with my son to Toronto last weekend and we hung out. So I told you these stories, but I really want to tell the listeners because there's these two weird things that happened in my house that I can't explain, and then maybe we can get some listener mail about like these weird things that are happening in my house to try to explain them.
I've been thinking about this ever since you told me, and I was hoping that you would have the solution or the answer or the explanation by now.
The first one is more generic. You know, we in the front of our house we have like this long silver bowl where we put our keys, wallet, whatever. Like you come in the house, you drop your keys. Everybody has sort of a place like that in their home, right? So, one day, like 2 weeks ago, I'm looking for the car keys, and then my wife's like, "What are these keys?" And then we found like this little silver, like I think it's called like a carabiner, you know, like for climbing.
Mm-hmm.
Used as a keychain, and there's two keys on there, not car keys, they're like door keys, you know. Yep. And I'm like, whose keys are these? They're not mine. My wife's like, they're not hers. I'm like, they're not for your office. No. I asked my daughter, are these yours? Is this for your work? Are these keys to your work? No. Message my son, do these belong to you? Like, no one it's not part of our household. These keys do not belong to us. And you know, we're redoing our kitchen. We have people coming here doing like renovations, like, so there's a bunch of workers coming in the house. So we asked them the next day, but of course it's not theirs. And if it was theirs, why would their keys be with our keys? It's not like they're gonna put this is where the Shermans keep their keys. I'm gonna put my keys with theirs. Like, they're not gonna do that. You know, we messaged like we asked, like, Selena asked her friends, because for some of her friends they sleep over, and one of her friends sometimes leaves her car keys in that spot because you can't park on the street. And you know, so I've moved her car for her once or twice. Anyways, I don't want to get into too much details, but we can't figure out who these keys belong to. We just cannot. My wife thinks that she took them from the car dealer when we picked up our new car a few weeks ago. Maybe she grabbed them from the lady's desk, which seems like out there, you know, like, I don't understand that as a story. I took a picture of the keys. I sent them to the salesperson. I'm like, can you check with people in the dealership? Is this belong to anyone? He wrote me back, no one knows who they are. So we have these keys. We don't know where they came from. We don't know who they belong to. And actually, in my mind, I'm like, these could have been sitting there for years. Like, they could have been in that bowl for years, and we might not have known. We might have just discovered them that day. Honestly, I don't know. So I'd love to hear people's theories about where the keys came from.
This reminds me of that show that was on Netflix like a year ago. I forget the title of that show.
Netflix? What was it about?
Where, you know, there's someone keeps mailing letters to the house, and there's no name. And...
Oh yeah, The Watcher.
Yeah.
I hope it's not that. Oh my God. So the second story is a little bit weirder. So I just mentioned to you that we're doing renovations in our house, and people will recall, if they listened last year, we did renovations in the bathroom, and when the workers took down the wall, inside our wall in the bathroom, we found some like Hustler and porn magazines from 1985 in the walls of our home. So needless to say, that was weird. So these guys come, different contractor. They come to do the first day, and they're like, basically just, it's demo day. They're gonna tear apart the kitchen. They take apart everything, right? So they are removing the ceiling panels from like the ceiling, and the guy's like, oh, he found some papers from a newspaper. He's like, oh, look at this, the Montreal Gazette. I'm like, what? And he gives them to me. It's paper. It's like newspaper from the Montreal Gazette from 2006 dated. It says it's from 2006.
Okay.
And I'm like, oh, that's weird. How the hell did this get in here? What a weird thing. And then I start thinking, I'm like, wait a minute. We were living in this house in 2006. This is not like the other story where a previous owner left something in the wall or the original builder. Like, we were in this house in 2006. So I don't know how this got into the ceiling. And when I say the ceiling, it could also be the floor from the other from the second level. Like the ceiling is also,
Right.
but we redid the floors over there. We redid the floors in the house, but it was like 2010 or 2011. So I don't know, unless at that time the guy who redid the floors was using newspaper from 2006 as like a something. Like, I don't know. We don't know.
That's actually not a bad explanation.
It's kind of that's the only explanation really. That's the only explanation really. The only other explanation that I had is time travel, but I didn't really want to consider that because it sounds kind of crazy. So again, how did newspaper pages from the Montreal Gazette from 2006 end up inside my ceiling? These are questions that I'm going to think about for a long time.
Did you look through the newspaper to see if the Canadians won the night before?
No, it was like the West Island, it was like the West Island news section. It was weird. Like I didn't really pay attention to it. Like I looked at it and then we just threw it out. But it's like, God, it's so strange. Like honestly, like we just can't figure it out.
That is very, very weird. That's very weird.
So those are my final thoughts for today. They're pretty good ones. Hopefully like the listeners are going to enjoy those stories and maybe give me some wacky theories. Other than that, I'd like to wish all our Canadian listeners and to you too, Josh, a happy Canada Day, which was yesterday.
Thank you very much. Same to you.
And this episode, actually, you mentioned we drop our episodes on Tuesday, so it'll be the 4th of July. So to all our American listeners, happy 4th of July.
That's great. It's actually a perfect time to release an episode.
It is. It's awesome. Great talking to you about rain songs, and I'll speak to you next time.
Have a great week.